Hope. That's it, I guess. The essential quality of horse racing is hope. Without hope, there's nothing. But it's that consuming hope of someday coming up with that one big horse that drives men on season after season. 1973 was exceptional.
Certainly it's the greatest year we've ever had, both attendance-wise and in the volume of betting. Probably more important, though, it's been a real milestone in that we had the Queen here this year, and then we had probably the king of the second half of the 20th century of horses in Secretariat.
It was a year in which there were Cinderella horses who surprised even their own owners. It was a year in which other great horses proved to be bitter disappointments. In short, 1973 was thoroughbred horse racing at its unpredictable, exciting best.
It's the biggest race in Canada, one of the oldest in North America, and it's important to everybody. Everybody aims to win the plate. Owners aim to win it. Trainers get great thrills out of winning it. I've won 3 of them, and the third round was just as big a thrill as the first one.
The biggest thrill was my first Queen's Plate I won for 1949 with a horse called Epic.
You know, I've always wanted to win the Queen's Plate. That's something. That's like winning the Kentucky Derby in the States. It's one of the greatest prestige races in Canada, the Queen's Plate.
The Canadian owner, I know Mr. Gardner, but if he had a choice to win the 2 of them, Kentucky Derby and the Queen's Plate, I think he'd take the Queen's Plate. I think I would too, maybe. I've been trying long enough.
Oh, gosh, the plates. The biggest excited was Jan Lovelace winning the plate. Well, I was rubbing her.
It was a marvelous spectacle, a large field, which is pretty usual when we have a royal visitor. A number of owners tend to enter who probably shouldn't have, but they like to be part of the occasion. And I don't blame them for that. I'd love to see 25 horses coming down there myself. But she's quite a knowledgeable horsewoman, and she was very interested in La Prévoyante, as a matter of fact. Our great filly champion, La Prévoyante, while we were in the saddling enclosure, she asked to be allowed to go closer to the horse, and I think she watched her particularly during the running of the race.
I feel very grateful to her. She's done some things that it's just a trainer's dream, winning 12 in a row as a 2-year-old and winning all them stakes, and she's really something special to me.
La Prévoyante is a wonderful filly, and she make a great broodmare. I saw the Kentucky Oaks, and she was second in that, and I just figured her best distance was a mile or less.
It's an opinion coming from a little old horse doctor who happens to be fortunate enough to have looked after what I feel is a very outstanding filly. I think she will make a very creditable account of herself in the Queen's Plate. It's fairly well known that she is not quite 100%, but I think regardless of the outcome that she is one of the outstanding fillies of our time.
This year's Queen's Plate essentially was a very open race. It's true that La Prévoyante was the favorite with the crowd, but horsemen generally doubted her ability to go more than a mile. And as a consequence, there were 7 or 8 outstanding contenders.
My chances are pretty good. Rode Chocolate won the plate trial last Saturday, and he ran the fastest division, and I think he's got a good shot, and if it comes up a little muddy or a little off, he'll have a better chance. I'll have a good chance with both of them because Goodport takes to an off racetrack.
Victorian Prince, he's a real nice horse. He comes from a little off the pace. He ran in the Quebec Derby and he ran a real big race. He finished second to La Prévoyante, and he was running on end. And I think he's got a tremendous shot in the Queen's Plate.
I ride in a Queen Plate like I ride for a $2,500 race. To me, both is the same thing.
I've got Queen Splendor, which we have just won the trial plate, and that was a mile and the 16th plate's a mile and a quarter, and Queen Splendor's more or less a sprinter. But I'll tell you, we'll give them a good run for their money.
He's by Victoria Park, who had the last 2 plate winners, and maybe we can be 3 in a row. I would say he's the best chance I've had since I've run horses in the plate. I know he'll run a mile and a quarter. He won't be stopping at the end. He'll be coming on.
This horse is probably the best bred horse in the race. He's bred for distance. He's got natural speed. You've got to respect the filly. She's won $500,000, and she did it at the races. Myself, I don't think she'll catch the distance. I think this horse is the horse to beat. Trainers have said to me, how the hell am I going to make a horse run a mile and a quarter if I don't run him a week before the race? On the day we run in the plate, it'll be 23 days after his last race, which he won very handily. I was trained in England to train a horse to a race, not run a horse to a race. What do you think of that little Prévoyante,
As long as Royal Chocolate wins the Queen's Plate, that's all that matters. Stafford all the way.
Well, I haven't bet on anybody yet.
Sandy Hawley. That's my boy. I rode in it 2 other times, and I won on Kennedy Road in Almoner. It'd just be a tremendous thrill for me to be able to win it 3 times in a row.
I think that the one that Gomez is riding.
Well, right now I really can't say. 2 or 3 of them yet.
I didn't bet. It's the first time here I've ever been to Woodbine.
Well, I'm betting since the purpose. I hope it wins in.
I think there was a happy...
I'm taking a chance and making some money.
What's that? La Prévoyante. Yeah, I hope you will.
I think she'd like to do it for the Queen.
Jean LeBlanc, no chance he can lose that race.
Oh, well, I put a little bet on, but I don't know much about races.
I'm the anti. I don't want to lose my place.
Just came to see the Queen.
I mostly come to see the horses.
I'm not quite sure. Who do you think's going to win?
They're at the post. Beyond an impressive lady out in the center of the track. Now Queen Splendor rushes up in the center to take the lead. That's Queen Splendor going into the lead as Zacchaeus Spirit moves up second on the inside. My Archibald is running third. Le Prévoyant coming on fourth. Impressive lady fifth, way out in the center of the track. And now My Archibald gains a short lead with Queen Splendor second, Zacchaeus Spirit third. Le Prévoyant under a good hold on the outside. As they move into the clubhouse turn, Queen Splendor shows the way by half a length. Zacchaeus Spirit's on the inside. My Archibald is third. Le Prévoyant moving up on the outside. Sinister Purpose is running fifth. Impressive Lady is sixth. Royal Chocolate on the rail. Turning into the backstretch, Queen Splendor has the lead, and now Le Prévoyant moves up on the outside. Queen Splendor and Le Prévoyant, they're running heads apart. Zacchaeus Spirit is third on the inside. My Archibald is fourth. Sinister Purpose has moved up to be fifth. Impressive Lady is sixth. Royal Chocolate is seventh. Now they move into the far turn. Queen Splendor and Le Prévoyant, they're running head-ahead. Queen Splendor and Le Prévoyant right alongside. Midway of the turn, Queen Splendor has the lead. Le Prévoyant stays right alongside. Coming now on the outside is Royal Chocolate with My Archibald along the rail, Zacchaeus Spirit, and then Sinister Purpose. And as they turn into the stretch, it is Royal Chocolate. Royal Chocolate now has the lead by 3 lengths. Le Prévoyant is second. Queen Splendor is still third. Sinister Purpose, Albert the Consort, and it's Royal Chocolate. He's all by himself as Sinister Purpose moves up second. Albert the Consort and My Archibald. It's Royal Chocolate, a winner by about 4 lengths. The Sinister Purpose second, My Archibald third, Albert the Consort fourth. The time 2:08.
The horse at the time was overlooked by the public, but he shouldn't have been because he won one of the plate trials on similar track conditions.
We never figured on winning the race. Never. That was just a big surprise. We thought we'd be lucky if we were in the money. When we turned into the home stretch and our horse shot out about 5 lengths in front of the rest, then I knew we were home, and that's when I really started to feel good.
As a matter of fact, I think I kissed him. And, you know, being Scottish, we're undemonstrative, you know, and that is something. But after all, the Queen's Plate, that's a little unusual. I was so happy for him because that is really, as he says, the cherry on the top of the cake, you know, when you win the Queen's Plate.
When you win that, you won the best in Canada.
Well, I got a little unlucky. It came up a muddy track, and we came second.
I'll tell you something. When I have a bad day, I can eat through a wall. I feel hungry as a son of a gun, and that's a good thing. And when I get through eating, I don't even remember a bad day. Once I go home, everything is forgotten.
Well, you know, every time we have a turkey or a chicken, and they give me the wishbone, and they say, now, make a wish and pull that. I always, to myself, I would say, I hope to win the Queen's Plate this next year. And I've been doing that for all these years. So you can figure out that has been my greatest wish over the years. My greatest wish.
Well, he was happy. It's a lifelong thing with him. He's tried for 25 years to win it, and I'm just happy that I could be the one that got it for him. It's my greatest thrill in racing. I won a race in New York for $100,000, and it had nothing to compare with winning this race at home and winning it when the Queen was here.
This was her second visit to Woodbine in 1959 when she came here. I found her rather austere and very reserved, particularly in comparison to her mother. This time I felt that she was much more relaxed and seemed to be enjoying herself a great deal. I would say that his attitude has changed a bit too. And the first time he came here, I had the distinct impression that he didn't like horse racing and it was sort of boring. But this year I found that he was entering into conversations with people around him. He's got a great wit. He told several nice little stories.
She is intensely interested in everything connected with racing. She thinks our course is a splendid course. Of course, she's used to grass racing, and we wish all races could be on the grass, but meetings are too long. In England, you know, they're only 3 or 4 days at the most, then they give the grass a rest.
She was amazed that our horse won by such a large margin in such an important race. I naturally said, well, that's just the way the race came up. This horse was in the shape for the race, and it just outbeat all the others by about 5 lengths.
My husband spoke mostly to the Queen, other than when she turned to me and said, perhaps I should give you these, and she handed me the bag of guineas. And of course, I naturally agreed. I took the guineas. Never having talked to Prince Philip before, I wasn't just sure what I should start on, but I was most anxious to see those guineas. And he said, come on, let me have a look too. So it turned out to be quite amusing, and they were both charming.
I was wound up so much that I couldn't have told you what she said or what I said. I just hope it was all right.
Royal Chocolate's win in the Queen's Plate was a surprise, but by the time they came to the second leg of the Triple Crown, the Prince of Wales at Fort Erie, owner Jack Stafford believed he had 3 horses with an excellent chance of winning.
Driving over, I'm reading the racing form, and I look at all the horses on the form, and I said to Florence, for heaven's sakes, don't ever tell anybody I said that, but do you know something? We could run 1, 2, 3 in this race.
And that's the way it turned out. Tara Road, ridden by Sandy Hawley, won the race. His stablemate Goodport was second, and Royal Chocolate was third. It was the only time in the history of the Triple Crown races that one owner swept all first 3 places.
So it doesn't mean anything. It's a little honor, but, you know, those honors slip away pretty quick. What are you going to do for an encore? You're supposed to do it again.
After victories in the Queen's Plate and the Prince of Wales, Jack Stafford had dreams of winning the Triple Crown of Canada, with the third race, of course, the Breeders' Stakes at Woodbine. But fate was to intervene in the remarkable person of a horse named Come In Dad, which had been claimed only 3 months previously for $3,250. This rank outsider, in the minds of most people, charged through the stretch to beat Tara Road and Goodport in a really fine 3-horse photo finish.
I don't think there's any words that could describe that particular thrill. It was the greatest thrill I've had in racing. It just took my voice away. I was breathless and thrilled to death. He's developed from a claiming horse into a superb stake horse. He has the mental attitude, the physical capability, and the determination and courage of a champion. And it's been a real pleasure to work with him. Just shows that a little fella, a small owner, has the opportunity of really hitting it big with a little bit of luck.
There are the horses, and then there are the people. The backstretch of a racetrack is a rather private world, far removed from the commercial rat race, peopled by its own unique brand of human beings, as remote as the land of Oz.
It's a lot like a carnival life or a circus, which is fast disappearing from the modern world. It's you live with the animals, you ship around to the different tracks.
I call it the last free world, because you get guys that if they're outside of them gates out there, geez, they wouldn't know even know where Queen Street is. It'd be surprising. There's guys that's been on the racetrack that I guarantee in years haven't been off the track. They just stayed here. And if you look around and see all these characters, you'll never see them outside of the world. So it's the last of the free world.
80 years old, born 1893. Everything. Little pony, little riding, a little, but mostly grooming and little training too beside that. I live on the racetrack mostly the time, but I take holidays and then I go away where I could meet people. I am fond of meeting people.
It's my considered opinion that most men would live longer if they lived around a racetrack.
The job I had before I came into racing, I used to hate to get up in the morning, and I can bounce out of bed at 5:30 in the morning looking forward to a day pretty regular.
I call myself rags to riches. Because I left school when I was in the 5th grade. It was depression. I was only a kid and come on the racetrack when I was 12 years old and became what I am today. I'm not bragging, but this is what you can do on a racetrack. Every day is Christmas to me. I can't wait for tomorrow. And I think that's what makes a man successful in any business, because if you like your work, you're not working. People say, geez, you work too hard. Why don't you relax? I never worked a day in my life. Never. To me, it's just a joy. I can't wait for his afternoon to go see my horses run. I wouldn't trade any day, any time for anything on the outside or anything. The boys really got it made today. Now they have heating in the rooms, and they got little motel rooms. Outdoors and love horses. God, there's nothing better than being on a racetrack.
If I had to live my own life over again, and if I was given the opportunity to select a very special group of friends with whom to surround myself, most of those friends would come from the racetrack.
You meet a whole new group of friends when you get into racing. You find that they're very congenial, lighthearted, even a hard rock businessman starts kibitzing and fooling around, and everybody lets down when they get to the racetrack. Doesn't matter who they are. Anybody, even Mr. Taylor.
1973 was the year in which Mr. E.P. Taylor retired as chairman of the Ontario Jockey Club.
I've been around here for many, many years. I was at Duffin Park and Leaky Roof, they used to call it, and Niagara Falls and Fort Erie when the barns weren't too good. And when it rained, it used to leak in through the roofs and everything else. And Mr. Taylor done something that I don't believe any man in Canada or United States could have done the job that he did. He took us out from the bush leaguers into the major leagues.
He had the know-how, and he had the rest, the green stuff, and he did a wonderful job.
And he has another ingredient that many people who have the other things do not have, and that's straight out-and-out guts. And he will try something.
Racing in Canada just never stopped progressing since he took a hold of it.
He's Mr. Racing in Canada as far as I'm concerned.
When you go into a racehorse business, it's, all your trust and everything is in an animal. And an animal are like women, they're unpredictable. You're on a wing and a prayer from day one.
Tell in this game.
There are a million different ways of picking a winner, most of them bad as far as that goes. Some people use the hat pin system of putting a hat pin through a program. I have a mother who is 90 years old who has been one of the most successful racetrack wagerers I've ever known. She bets entirely on instinct. She's Irish, of course, and she doesn't bet on a horse unless it calls her, as she says. I remember the night before the Kentucky Derby. This past year, I was in my hotel room. My 90-year-old mother called me from Montreal and told me to bet on Secretariat. She knew nothing about the horse, only for the reason that it called her.
I didn't really do any riding when I was a kid. I went out to a riding stable once in a while, say maybe 2 or 3 times a year. It was mostly because of my uncle. When I was younger, he used to always say, we'll make a jockey out of you. You're small, and when I was in high school, I didn't really have a big idea of what I wanted to do, so I started bothering my uncle. I says, well, when are you going to take me out for an interview to see if I can be a jockey? So finally, he called the National Stud Farm, and we went out, and I had an interview with a trainer by the name of Duke Campbell. And he looked at my hands and feet and said, well, I don't think you're going to grow too much more, so we'll give you a shot. I walked horses, groomed horses, and then I started galloping horses. I was on the racetrack for about 3 years before I ever got a chance to ride my first race. It's a tremendous thrill coming down the stretch, you know, head and head, and just competing like that. I love competing. I love horses, and I really enjoy racing, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
It's just amazing that he can be so mild and have the fierce competitive spirit that he has. He is also equipped with all the attributes of a good rider. He's an excellent judge of pace. Horses seem to relax naturally for him, and he has a great style and ability.
Up till now, he did more than any other jockey, I guess, in history. He's only been riding, what, 4 or 5 years. He's still young in his career. If he keeps improving, he could maybe be the greatest rider of all time. He has that potential.
I don't compare top jockeys ever. I just say there's no better jockey than Sandy Hawley.
He's got the courage to win races. If he rides 8 races a day, he wants to win 8 races a day, and this means a lot. He's got a lot of ambition. Sandy Hawley never quits riding a horse till he's past that finish line.
He's a good rider, no question about it. You cannot knock success.
At the first of the year, we said that we'd shoot for the 500 mark, my agent and I.
Sandy Hawley beat Willie Shoemaker's record of 485 winners in a single season. Sandy finished up with 515 winners.
And then we got the old master, Gomez.
See, I'm 45-year-old, and I kick the boys over here like I'm 23. So that's thrill.
Apollino's a tremendous rider, and if he's got a little bit of horse, you better be riding to beat him.
So you cannot say what was my biggest thrill in racing yet. I have to quit. I have to hang my whip, and then I tell you, well, this was my big thrill, or this was my best race.
him Big Red.
He's one horse and $500,000 or $1 million. Yes.
He's most eye-catching. He is the most perfectly conformed, balanced individual.
He's a wonder horse.
Oh, you can't take nothing away from Secretariat. He's just got everything.
He's just a super horse. If everybody in the United States love him, and also in Canada, I certainly should love him too, don't you think?
He really likes people. That's what makes him a good horse, I guess. He's a horse he loves to play a lot. Like he picks up his halter and throw it around, and he push you around. He's big and strong, but he's not rough. We also get a pony named Bill Silver. He's very much in love with the pony, and when he's away from the pony, he always frets a little. He always running by his side. I was working with Mr. Laurin for 18 years, and every good horse he finally run up on, he always switch it to me. So I love the job, and I love to be around horses. If every horse I rub coming like Secretary, I don't think I want to be a trainer. I just want to be a groom.
Oh, yes, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. He's such a wonderful horse. You got to love a horse like that. He's so honest. He tries so hard when you run. Gives you everything else he can give you. Whatever he does is just fantastic every time. Very friendly, good-natured horse, and you can do anything in the world with him. He's a very intelligent horse. He's so intelligent that I flew him one day on a DC-9, which is a little low for him. He had to keep his head down. He had enough sense to keep it down all the way till he got off of it. Well, that's how smart he is.
Sometimes he can be like our own baby. Really, he can be just like our own baby. That he can do anything that you want to him. But sometimes he said, well, I don't want to be bothered. So he goes in the back of the stall, he stay back there. He don't want to be bothered. So, and once in a while, then he come to the door, then he want to pull your coat. But he just love people, man. He just watch him, pose for them. He gallop just like using a brand new Rolls Royce. When he hit a bump, just glide run across, you know. Sometimes that he can get rough. So once in a while I can talk to him, oh, easy. Then he start flicking his A's, you know. Then he come back to me. But when he want to just go, myself, I cannot hold him. But sometimes I can talk to him, and he'll calm right now. I can whistle to him sometimes, right? Sometimes I call him Big Red, and sometimes I say, come on, Big Bum, you know. And it seems like that he understands.
There's an old saying in racing that you breed the best to the best, and you hope for the very best. Now, this doesn't always work out, but in this case, it certainly has worked out with added bonuses. He happens to be an outstanding-looking individual. He's impeccably bred, and of course, his racing record speaks for itself. You know, it's not restricted to just the public. He's really captured the imagination of every horseman. It rather amused me talking to all types of horsemen. Many of them were very excited that Secretariat was coming, and others just felt that, well, Secretariat wasn't going to put any money in their pocket or any bread on their table, and they were very blasé about the whole situation. But the first day that Secretariat galloped on the turf course, I was amused to see that the racetrack training program just shut right down for about 1 hour, and all these blasé horsemen, stable employees of every description, all turned out eager to see the great Secretariat.
There was considerable uncertainty as well as excitement in the week of Secretariat's visit to Woodbine. The great horse was here, but would he really run?
You're very welcome.
It wasn't until 3 days before the race, when he had his first full workout, that the decision actually was made to run it. His owner, Mrs. Penny Tweedy, and his jockey, Ron Turcotte, flew from New York for that final workout.
Seems that I'm a Canadian by birth, and so is Ronnie, and to come here with a real champion and finish his career in Canada, which Mrs. Tweedy, I think, is a good sport woman to let us come over here and see if we could finish the right way.
The first one was classic, because I thought he had some chance to be a classic colt. And the second was something else, which is a play on his dam's name, and then the third was Secretariat.
Yes, it's one of the greatest things that happened at Woodbine in history. He hasn't won every race, but horse can't tell you if he isn't feeling well. Yeah.
A completely unexpected fog delayed the big horse's final workout. Thousands of people, drawn by the presence of this magnificent horse, came to Woodbine, and some of them waited 3 hours in the foggy morning for him to work 5 furlongs over the grass course.
I haven't seen a real pen in a long time.
Ironically, it was a tragic morning for Ron Turcotte. At the very moment that he was riding Secretariat in the workout at Woodbine, the stewards at Aqueduct in New York were making a decision to suspend him for 5 days. This meant that he would not be able to ride Secretariat in the International, and he would be replaced by jockey Eddie Maple.
I think Fred, Carl, think his Fred. Hey, look at the horse. Oh, look at him. You need something?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mrs. Tweedy had the mare, and he wanted to read it to Broad Ruler, so they flipped a coin who got the first foal, and she lost, and the first foal was still a maiden. And you get Secretariat. Hadn't she won the flip of the coin, she'd have had the first one, and somebody else would have had the second one.
There have been times during Secretariat's racing career when I thought he might not be a truly great champion. I went to all of the Triple Crown races. I came away in the Derby saying, well, it was a good race, but I'm still not certain. After the Preakness, I thought, well, he's a pretty good horse, but I'm going to wait. But I was thoroughly convinced after the Belmont. There was no question in my mind that this was the greatest horse I'd ever seen, and perhaps the greatest ever.
Not only was he the only horse to win the American Triple Crown in 25 years, but it was his way of going which stirred the hearts of men. He simply annihilated his 3-year-old opponents. I'll never forget the Belmont Stakes. That was the race he won by more than 30 lengths. It was really the most convincing triumph I've ever witnessed in all my years of watching horse racing.
I was nervous to get to the head of the stretch. I thought he could roll home from there on in because he was so far ahead.
What makes him a great horse, he does everything right. He's very quiet to handle. He doesn't overexcite himself, just like an old pro. He's out there and he's just doing his thing. He reminds me like of Joe Louis when he was a fighter, of Babe Ruth. You know, some have it and some don't. Personally, I think Secretariat is probably one of the greatest horses of all times, even going back as far as Man of Wars, which such a great horse we've all heard about, probably never seen.
Yeah, Man of War. I saw him running in one race. That was in a match race at Candleworth Racetrack in Windsor, Ontario. That's where I saw him and Sabarton.
It's remarkable that the two greatest horses of this century, in America at least, Man of War and Secretariat, both were known as Big Red, and both ran the final races of their careers on Canadian tracks.
Both nice horses, but this horse, the Secretariat, broke so many track records. I think it would be a good race if they had to hook together. But now happened he's here. I'm going to watch him tomorrow, racing.
The weather for the International was a cruel disappointment. It was the last Sunday in October, cold, bitterly cold and wet. But more than 35,000 people, in a personal tribute to a great horse, came into Woodbine that afternoon. Undoubtedly, if the weather had even been 10 degrees warmer, it would have been the largest crowd in the history of any Canadian sporting event.
Where are you? Where are you? Let me hear you. Where's all the players? Turcotte Racing, form, right off form. Gotta have form.
We came all the way from New York to watch Secretariat run, and we hope he wins.
I come from Guelph, and I've looking forward to seeing Secretariat winning this race today.
Oh, I think it'll be a terrific. I wouldn't want to miss him for anything.
I don't come that often. I just came today because I want to see Secretariat run.
Come to see Secretariat race.
I feel this is the last chance I might see Secretariat ever race, so I thought I'd come to see him.
Oh, listen, we wouldn't have missed this for anything. If it was 4 feet of snow, we would have come. It's a super horse.
This wasn't to be any walkover. Despite Secretariat's might, 11 horses were entered against him. There were some good ones from Canada. Presidio, Fabe Count, and Twice Lucky, and among the good American imports, there were Golden Dawn, Big Spruce, and Triangular. And of course, Canada's own horse of the year, Kennedy Road.
Training a horse like Kennedy Road is like driving your first Cadillac limousine. It makes you a little nervous. You're afraid you might break it. He's proven himself to be one of the greatest horses ever produced in Canada. It's a great thrill to be able to get on a horse and ride a horse like this, let alone train him. When I was a kid, I used to be so happy when I could ride a really good horse. There's a feeling you get that you can't explain to anybody. In my career, I think this is the biggest thrill for me so far, to be able to train a horse like this. Sunday, we're hooking supposedly the horse of the century. Kennedy Road, he's in good shape. We ran him last Sunday. Broke the Canadian record. Gomez, he's the ideal rider for this horse. because of his natural ability to judge time.
Secretariat got beat 2 or 3 times already. Hitler got beat in the Second War. I don't see why he don't get beat. So my chances is very big. I rode him last time. I really got impressed with him, and to me, it's between Secretariat and me. Secretariat show up in Toronto is very, very big help for races in Canada, even if he get beat by me.
This horse, when he comes out of that gate, he's just gonna burst into the lead, just go. That's what he said. That's what he knows how to. That's the way he runs best. That's the way we're gonna do it. And I'm hoping it's a good, hard, fast racetrack, and they'll have to beat the record to beat him.
Top of the day. Good horse. You better grab his pictures because he wins. It'll be the upset of the century.
It was admittedly a day of very mixed emotions for one little man, Canadian-born jockey Ron Turcotte.
It's like coming home with your own hero, you know, like he carried me to so many notable races, and now he come home and I can't ride him.
I think it's very unfortunate. I hope this jockey does just as well.
Ronnie played a big part. I think Ronnie was very good. He come up every morning and he worked hard with me. He worked the horse mostly all the time. I think that Ronnie Turcotte today is probably the best rider in the United States.
We try to work together, and he asks me different things about the horse, different feelings when I work him, and then he adjusts to the situation the way you think it should be, and we've been a great combination, I think. It's been an incredible experience and satisfaction. I have an opportunity to work with a horse like that. He moves so good and so free, and when he runs so fast you don't really realize how fast he goes because he's got so much power and he's got the speed and everything. Like I don't think no jockey can get on him and say the time that he went in. I know I can't come down to the time because he does everything so easy. It's like piloting a jet, I guess. He just pushes the accelerator and he goes on. I don't think the bad condition will affect the horse at all because he's always impressed me like he would run even on broken bottles.
I'm very grateful to have had Secretariat in our lives. My father spent 30 years in racing and developing his broodmare band, and to have something like this come out of your own breeding is a tremendous thrill and a great sense of accomplishment. He's so good looking, he captures the imagination of not only the race fan, but the children. The children are crazy about this horse.
I want to see Secretariat race. I think Secretariat's a great horse.
I think he's so wonderful and so exciting, and he's brought families out to the racetrack, and our mail is full of love and enthusiasm, and I hope that all of this lasts and inures to the benefit of racing. He has sort of started a resurgence of interest in racing. The average fan was getting older. We weren't getting people out to the racetrack. With all the youngsters that have fallen in love with this horse, if a third of them make their boyfriends take them to the racetrack when they're 18, the Secretariat will have achieved more than just his race record, more than his money won, and more than the number of times you've seen Mrs. Tweedy on television.
I found her to be one of the most gracious and charming women I've ever met. I don't know of anyone who could have been more cooperative than she was in every phase leading up to the race.
I'm delighted that people are glad he's come and are enjoying having him here and seeing as much as we're going to be able to this afternoon. It's bad luck that the weather is not pleasanter, but racing is a matter of luck with the elements, and you can't control these things, so we just have to accept the fact that it's a bad day. The people who really are enthusiastic are here, cold and wet anyway. Secretariat loves to run, and this should be communicated to the world, that this is a vital sport. It's an exciting sport, and it's not an exploitation of horses, that there are horses like Secretariat who are sound and able and think running is thrilling. He knows when he wins. He knows when people notice him. It's been a good experience for him, too.
There was an added bonus for racing fans. The world's most successful lady jockey, Robin Smith, came from New York to ride Triangular in the big race.
I decided to be a jockey because I love to ride horses. I love to ride horses fast, and I like competition. And it just seemed like That's what I was born to do. I wanted to be a jockey from the time I was 2 or 3 years old. The only hard time in this business for me is getting an opportunity to ride good mounts, which I attribute to the fact that I'm a girl. They still believe that a girl is not as strong as a male jockey, which is true, but I don't think that that extra strength that men have over women, in the riding profession at least, makes a difference. I think it's finesse and communication with your animal.
It's fantastic. I'm glad to see a female jockey getting in the race.
I think she has a real good chance.
Not bad looking either.
I don't really have any goal in this business other than just riding 5 or 6 races a day, because it's the only thing that makes me happy.
I don't want her to win. I want Twice Lucky.
Number 9 is Presidio, ridden by North America's leading rider, Sandy Hawley.
Presidio is a good contender. The Secretary is the horse to beat, but we'll be out there to beat him.
Number 4 is Big Spruce.
Well, I think Secretary is going to go all the way.
They win by a mile.
He's unbelievable.
I hope Secretariat will win.
I just hope he wins today because it's his last race.
Obviously, he's going to win. What else?
He's one of the greatest horses that I've ever seen in my racing time. And I've been to quite a few races.
If he rode like he did the last time, I don't think it'd be no contest.
Everyone is a big one, especially this one. Probably the biggest of all, because that's his last one, and I certainly hate to see him get beat. I'd like to send him home a big winner.
The easiest race on paper is the one I find we lose. I cannot pinpoint who I think might beat us, but I certainly worry about today's race because it does look as if we ought to have a good shot at winning it. So I have to worry.
They're at the post.
We're just going to burst out of the gate, and the eyes are just going to be out of this horse's head this high, and he's gone. Like the wild man from Borneo, he's gone.
Here on, Kennedy Road comes away quickly on the outside to take the lead. And that is Secretariat now rushing up on the extreme outside to go into contention. As they swing into the far turn, Kennedy Road has the lead by a length and a half. Secretariat is second with Presidio coming on third. Babe Count is fourth along the inside. And now they're midway of the turn as Kennedy Road leads by about 2.5 lengths with Secretariat running along second, a gap of 7 or 8 lengths with Presidio third. And coming into the stretch for the first time, they cross over the main track, and it is Kennedy Road on top, and here comes Secretariat on the outside. Kennedy Road leads by 2.5 lengths. Secretariat is second with Presidio running along third as Twice Lucky moves up fourth. Babe Count is fifth. They did the half in 47 and 2, and the 6 furlongs in 111 and 3. And they're now heading into the clubhouse turn. It is Kennedy Road on top by a length and a half. Secretariat is second on the outside. Twice Lucky is now third with Presidio fourth. Triangular coming on fifth on the outside. Babe Count is sixth down the back stretch. Kennedy Road has the lead. Secretariat closing up alongside. Kennedy Road by a half a length. Secretariat is right there with him. A gap of 7 lengths. And Twice Lucky third. Presidio fourth. Triangular fifth. Babe Count is on the outside. And there he goes. There he goes. Secretariat on the outside. Heading around the turn. Secretariat has the lead. Kennedy Road is second. Twice Lucky is third. Presidio is fourth. It is all Secretariat. Coming to the head of the stretch. We now in front by about 6 lengths with Kennedy Road second. The crowd is standing and they're cheering because this is his last race.
In the tradition of champions, Secretariat climaxed his career with a smashing triumph. It was an unforgettable moment. That great crowd thundering acclaim as Secretariat smashed his way across the finish line in the final race of his career. What more fitting climax could there have been for the most brilliant and successful season in the long history of Canadian horse racing?